A visiting philosopher named Diodorus Cronus confidently declared, in a room full of eager minds, "I am speaking, but I am not speaking. Therefore nothing is true." His statement, a paradox, defied easy understanding. It seemed both true and false at the same time. Diodorus was famous for his master argument, and was challenging the idea that clear statements always lead to clear truths. It was a time of rapid intellectual growth, where philosophers like Diodorus challenged traditional ways of thinking, pushing boundaries and forcing others to reevaluate their assumptions. This marked a turning point in the history of logic. Imagine you're navigating through a dense forest. Each tree, each shadow represents a decision or a thought. The path is unclear, the terrain uneven, and the destination obscured. As you move forward, doubt creeps in. You question your choices, unsure if each step brings you closer to your goal or leads you astray. This experience mirrors the mental journey we all undertake in our daily lives, whether making personal decisions, engaging in debates, or solving problems. The need for clarity is key. Here, you will learn the importance of mastering the laws of logic, equipping you to build unshakable arguments and strengthening your intellect. Diodorus aimed to expose the limitations of language and highlight the need for a more rigorous system of logical evaluations to navigate such complexities. There, watching this presentation, a young scholar named Aristotle was confused. This argument seemed to defy logic itself. How could something be true and false at the same time? This lecture then inspired a lifelong quest for Aristotle to understand the very foundation of clear thought. He realized that logic wasn't just about winning arguments. It was about building a framework for reliable reasoning. Fast forward a few decades later, Aristotle, now a renowned philosopher himself, had formulated his revolutionary Organon. This six-part treatise laid the groundwork for what we call Aristotelian logic. The law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, and the law of excluded middle. These laws may seem simple, but they are incredibly pivotal to how we perceive logic in the modern day. They provided a set of rules for clear thinking, allowing philosophers and scholars to build arguments with a solid foundation. Many of us go through life making decisions based on intuition, influenced by emotions, biases, and incomplete information. This approach often leads to confusion and frustration. Understanding logic equips you with the tools to boost your intellectual ability and confidence in all decisions. We all face a constant bombardment of decisions, big and small. From complex projects at work to managing the responsibilities of home life, the pressure to make the right choices can be overwhelming. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, these decisions lead to unintended consequences, creating stress and dissatisfaction. We may even begin to doubt our abilities, feeling lost in a cycle of uncertainty. This struggle is universal. Students, professionals, parents, and leaders alike can all experience the burden of decision-making without a clear framework. The absence of a structured approach can leave us wandering without direction. The impact of such unfocused decision-making can be significant. The root of this struggle lies in the lack of a structured approach to thinking and decision-making. Without a reliable method to evaluate options and predict outcomes, we are left to wander without a clear direction. But what if there was a method to illuminate the path, to make decisions with confidence and clarity? This is where the laws of logic come into play. The first step towards mastering logic is understanding its basic principles. These three principles, known as the laws of thought, have a long and rich history. Zeno of Elea, who lived around 450 BC, is famous for his paradoxes that challenged the very foundations of reason and logic, and made people question what they thought they knew about movement. Plato also played a role in his dialogues, particularly works like The Sophist and Republic, grappled with the nature of statements and arguments. He discussed the importance of distinguishing between subjects and actions within a statement, foreshadowing the development of logic as a formal system. This influence on Aristotle is what then led him to be the one who truly systematized logic. The Organon laid out the formal foundation for what we call Aristotelian logic. It addressed topics like syllogisms, a two-step argument with an answer, fallacies and categories, think of it as things and their qualities, and established the three classical laws of thought, starting with Number 1. The law of identity. The law of identity states that A is A. It means that an object is the same as itself. A statement is true as long as it is true. I can say, "This apple is red." Let A represent, "This apple is red." A is A. Meaning, "This apple is red" is the same statement as itself. This apple is red. This principle encourages us to recognize and acknowledge things as they are, without conflating them with other things. This means understanding that each decision you face is unique and requires its own consideration. By identifying each problem clearly, you can approach it without the baggage of unrelated issues. Why is this important? In everyday life, we often encounter situations where things get muddled. For example, you are stressed about an upcoming exam. You might think, "I'm failing this exam," being the distinct statement. Now you can delve deeper and explore why you'd fail the exam. The law of identity reminds you that this statement is distinct from the reality of your preparation. It encourages you to identify the problem clearly. Maybe you haven't reviewed a specific topic in the exam, and separate it from unrelated anxieties. By focusing on A is A, you can approach the situation with a clear head and develop a targeted study plan. By ensuring clarity in communication and thought processes, the law of identity empowers us to avoid ambiguous language. We can choose words that precisely represent what we mean, minimizing the risk of misinterpretations. Identify underlying issues. We can break down complex problems into smaller, more manageable components, making them easier to solve. Make well-informed decisions. We can analyze options based on their individual merits, rather than getting tangled in irrelevant comparisons. In essence, the law of identity is the foundation for clear thinking and effective communication. It ensures we don't get bogged down by confusion and allows us to approach situations with focus and precision. Number 2. The law of non-contradiction. The law of non-contradiction asserts that I cannot be both A and not A at the same time. It's impossible for the window to be both open, A, and closed, not A, at the same time. This contradicts the law of non-contradiction. In other words, contradictory statements cannot both be true simultaneously. This principle helps us avoid conflicting thoughts and decisions. This means avoiding decisions that undermine each other. In this scenario, you wake up feeling super productive. you declare, "Today I'm going to conquer my to-do list." The law of non-contradiction says you can't then crawl back into bed and say, "Nope, conquering the to-do list is not happening today, at least not simultaneously." This law emphasizes that contradictory statements cannot both be true at the same time. It's like having your cake and eating it too. Logically impossible. Why is this important? Well, if you constantly contradict yourself, it creates confusion. People won't know what to expect from you. The law of non-contradiction helps you avoid being a flip-flopper, someone whose actions and words don't align. Other real-world scenarios in which this would be helpful are making clear decisions. Let's say you're choosing a new phone. The law discourages picking a phone with a terrible battery life because it undermines your goal of having a reliable device. Avoiding conflicting actions. Imagine you tell your friend you'll help them move. The law discourages simultaneously booking a weekend getaway, as it clashes with your commitment. Building trust and strong relationships. By following through on your statements, A is always A, you build trust with others. People know they can rely on your word. The law of non-contradiction isn't about being rigid. It's about clear thinking and building trust by ensuring your actions and words don't contradict each other. Number 3. The Law of Excluded Middle. The Law of Excluded Middle states that either A or not A must be true. Either I will go for a walk today or I won't. The Law of Excluded Middle states there's no possibility of both happening simultaneously. This principle emphasizes that for any proposition, either it is true or its negation is true. There is no middle ground. This means making decisions that are clear and unambiguous. When faced with a choice, you can evaluate the options based on their truth and falsehood, avoiding indecision and ambiguity. An example would be when you're deciding what to eat for breakfast. The law of excluded middle, stated as either A or not A must be true, applies here. Let A be the statement, I will eat cereal for breakfast. According to the law, there are only two possibilities. Either A is true, you will indeed have cereal, or not A is true, you won't have cereal, meaning you'll choose something else. The law doesn't say you can't change your mind later. It simply emphasizes that at any given moment, one statement must be true and the other must be false. There's no maybe or I haven't decided yet. Now, why is this important? Well, constant indecision can be paralyzing. The law of excluded middle encourages you to evaluate the options, cereal versus something else, and make a clear choice. This helps you to move forward with confidence. By settling on a decision, you can take action and avoid getting stuck in analysis paralysis. Simplify complex situations. The law helps you break down choices into clear alternatives, making them easier to analyze and choose between. Avoid ambiguity. When faced with a question, a clear answer eliminates confusion and allows for effective communication. Now here's the tricky part. The real world isn't always so clear-cut. Maybe you're not sure if you want cereal or toast, so you decide on oatmeal, a third option. This seems to contradict the law, right? Well, there are a few things to consider. The law applies to propositions at a specific point in time. In your breakfast example, at the moment of decision, you either will or won't have cereal. Oatmeal as a choice wasn't considered at that specific time. Our language might not perfectly capture all possibilities. The law is a powerful tool for clear thinking, but sometimes more nuanced options exist beyond the initial A or not A. The key takeaway of the Law of Excluded Middle encourages us to strive for clarity in our thinking and decision-making. It doesn't mean the world is always black and white, but it does empower us to identify clear choices. By recognizing the available options, we can make informed decisions. Avoid ambiguous situations. The law discourages leaving things open-ended, promoting clear communication and action. Embrace the power of yes or no. While the real world might have shades of gray, the law reminds us that a definitive answer is often better than constant indecision. Doubt is not a pleasant condition, but certainty is absurd. Voltaire. This quote reflects Enlightenment philosopher Voltaire's core belief in the importance of questioning assumptions and examining evidence before reaching conclusions. The cost of ignoring logic is an expensive price to pay. When we rely solely on intuition or incomplete information, we become susceptible to cognitive biases. We all have a confirmation bias. It's the tendency to actively search for or interpret information in a way that reinforces our existing beliefs. Let's say someone strongly believes that a certain type of dog breed, like poodles, are the smartest canines. This person might encounter a story about a particularly intelligent dog that isn't a poodle. They might downplay the achievement or find reasons why it doesn't count. For example, that border collie is just good at herding sheep. That doesn't require real thinking. In this scenario, the person's pre-existing belief about poodles influences how they seek out and interpret information, potentially leading them to miss out on the intelligence of other dog breeds. Anchoring, which is the reliance on the first piece of information encountered, skews our judgment. These biases, among others, cloud our thinking and lead us astray. This can be a real roadblock to learning new things and considering different viewpoints. And considering other viewpoints is one of the fundamentals to many areas of study that include mathematics, science, and philosophy. The journey to mastering logic does not end with understanding these laws. It requires practice and application. Now watch how you begin to integrate these principles into your daily life. You now start by identifying your decisions clearly, recognizing their unique aspects without conflating them. You ensure your decisions do not contradict each other, maintaining consistency and harmony in your actions. You're evaluating your options based on their truth, avoiding indecision. As you continue to practice this, you'll notice the transformation. Your work now becomes more efficient, and your projects more successful. Communication improves as you articulate your thoughts clearly and logically. At home, your interactions with yourself and others become more meaningful and fulfilling. The stress and confusion that once clouded your mind will now begin to dissipate, replaced by clarity and confidence. This is a testament to the power of logic. It is not a magical solution that solves all problems instantly, but a guiding wisdom to better decision-making. By mastering the laws of logic, we equip ourselves with the tools to navigate life's complexities with ease. Remember this: clarity is not a destination, but a continuous process. It requires practice, patience, and perseverance. As you integrate the laws of logic into your daily life, you will begin to see the forest for what it truly is. Not an insurmountable obstacle, but a landscape to navigate with confidence and purpose. While the forest of our thoughts may never be entirely free of shadows, but with the compass of logic, we can find our way through it. We can make decisions that are clear, consistent, and true. We can overcome the confusion and frustration that often accompany our mental journeys. Most importantly, we can live our lives with a sense of purpose and direction, knowing that each step we take is guided by the light of reason. Allow the laws of logic to be your guide. With each step, you will move closer to mastering the art of clear and rational thinking, transforming not only your decisions, but your entire life.